America was nice and calm. You almost there.
Yeah, I did it. I cried 2 tears in a bucket. Fuck it. Let's take it to the stage.
You dig it? You knock a dude down, you get some respect.
Hey, what's going on? Welcome to the Black Man Unfiltered Network. You're with your favorite baby boomer once again on a Monday post Super Bowl, which was a horrible game. And guess what? I kind of like Bad Bunny, man. You know, I didn't have any problem. I knew they were going to tone it down. He wasn't going to do too much of that. He had the two men humping, which was just his homage to throw that shit out there for the gays. However, that was like a brief second of disgust, and then we moved on. But, you know, he's a Puerto Rican, man. I'm from New York, man. I've always got along with Puerto Ricans, man. You know what I'm saying? So the fact that he was speaking Spanish, and they had the girl, Lady Gaga, who's a New Yorker, and I believe she was a New Yorker. And then, you know, my daughters were watching a halftime show, and then Ricky Martin came up and they screamed, "Oh, Ricky Martin." I said, "What the fuck, man? How y'all like Ricky Martin?" So I didn't think it was that bad. You know, to tell you the truth, I didn't think it was that bad. And I know the conservatives, again, you know, they had their little, whatever the hell they did on Turning Point USA. And then afterwards, when I heard that they did some shit, they got a lot of viewers, 5 million views live or whatever. If they would have put that goddamn show as a halftime event, people would have just not watched the rest of the Super Bowl. That's how bad that shit was. You know, and it's so funny. Here's the irony, right? And we're not going to talk politics, but here's the irony. 25%, at least 20% of the country is Spanish. I'm talking about legal immigrants, right? Hispanic. And, you know, here's one of the things that white people have a problem with. All Hispanics don't agree with each other from that, you know. The thing that glues them together is their language, you know, but they come from different parts of the world and then mix with different indigenous peoples, depending on where they come from. And, you know, so being a New Yorker, man, I've been around Spanish people, I got it in my family, everything, you know. I don't know one freaking record from Bad Bunny, but I didn't think the halftime show was that bad. I rated it 7 out of 10, maybe 7 out of 10. And the funny thing, here's the irony of the whole situation. That shit they did on Turning Point USA, you know, it's country music. A lot of people like country music, but that's just as segregated as the music they put on the Super Bowl. Only a certain portion of the United States likes country music like that. Not everybody. So even if they had that on the Super Bowl, they still would have left out a great swath of people in the United States when it comes to music and entertainment. So, you know, we need to get over that shit. You know why? Because it's only one United States. It's only one United States. And we have to come to grips that, yeah, you know, we got to share this country with different nationalities, but they got to be American citizens. That's the big difference. You can't just fuck around and come over here and think you own anything. You know, your door to your house is your domain on a micro level. The border is the door to the domain of the United States, and we just can't let people walk in and think they could benefit from that without paying a price. And Black people need to understand that we bled, man, for what, 400 years to own a piece of this country, and we're going to just give it away? Really? Just give it away to fucking people walking in? And because we hate ICE? Oh, Jesus Christ. Anyway, let's move on to the show. That's all the politics I'm gonna do today. But just think about that. We're just one America, man, and we got to be together. Anyway, this is a great conversation. And I was thinking about this before Cam Newton said his thing, because he said it before about you can't be friends with a woman. And we say this in the Manosphere and on YouTube. This conversation has been going on for a while. So let's go ahead and dive into that shit a little bit more and have some fun with it. Because the truth of the matter is, and I got a couple of clips, of course, that with women talking about, analyzing what a man should do. Don't you guys? Isn't it funny when women try to tell us how the fuck we're supposed to behave? Their whole shit is all fucked up with feminism and all that, but they like to preach to men on how we're supposed to behave, which is crazy, you know. Uh, war intelligence and tell you. Okay. Yeah, that's funny. Anyway, so the truth of the matter is, they can't tell us how to behave when it comes to our nature. Just like they should understand our nature, just like we need to strive to understand theirs. And we're going to get into some of that as we go on, because I just think that's where the answers are. Understanding the nature of men and women, and that one, we belong together, and it takes a tremendous amount of force to maintain the divide that we have between one another. A tremendous amount of force to keep us divided the way we are. So are you saying, Anissa, that you like the Bad Bunny show? What do you rate it? What do you rate it out of 10? What do you give it? What number? I thought it was a 7 out of 10. I thought it was a 7 out of 10. I rate it with every other, forget all the politics and shit. The entertainment, the pop and circumstance, the fact that he was speaking Spanish. My father had a bunch of Spanish speaking records, and I knew for a fact he didn't know one lick of Spanish. He had those old vinyls, man, in Spanish, and he used to play them once in a while. And I'm looking at him, I said, man, I'm young and shit. I look upon him, I know you don't know what the hell they're talking about, But he played them anyway because we like the beat, right? Because, Hispanics, Latin people got rhythm. They do, so we like rhythm, so a black man said it was terrible. Well, we could disagree on that. I'm like I said, I'm from New York City, man. I've been around. I grew up with Puerto Ricans. And Bad Bunny, believe it or not, is an American citizen. Okay, so it was much ado about nothing, and the game sucked. How about that? The game sucked. Anyway, so one of the things I like to do with this thing before we get going is throw a little icebreaker up there and just have a little fun with what we're doing. So this icebreaker has I spliced two videos together. The first one is a lady who went out on a date that went bad. And the second one is just a little short clip of a girl and her so-called man best friend. And they have a brief conversation. So without further ado, let me go ahead and set this up and get it started so we can have some fun here. Where's it at? All right.
Ate half of my food. And when the bill came, he said,
You might have to turn up your
"Your
thing.
food, you pay, and I'm gonna send you money back for my tea." He will not send me this money, and he ate half of my food, and I paid. And man say something about all women using men just for food. Look at this, what's happening in the world. I mean, I was so angry. You have no idea how angry I was, but I just paid and I blocked him. When he ate half my food, I'm so hungry. I'm going to a coffee shop right now to eat more. Jesus Christ, guys, grow up. Not like he actually bite little bit. He actually eat more than half of my meal. Oh, Jesus.
The man was hungry and then
He ate half of my food.
And so this is the second one with a lady and her best friend.
Best friend, I could never. So you mean to tell me that you and your wife go 50-50 on bills?
Fucking right. You and your husband do.
I don't got no husband.
Exactly. You know what I'm saying? Exactly. You got no husband. So shut up. So that's the point. There's a little icebreaker there. Some of you got it, some of you don't. But anyway, the point really is that so we could get into some of the nitty gritty here, and so let me kind of set the tone a little bit about. At some point, I'll drop the link and stuff like that. If my man Trey comes by or anybody else wants to see something. Anyway, when men have male friends or acquaintances, when men are in with strangers, and you'll have some kind of group talk and conversation, basketball game when men are around men. Things that you hear commonly on the in this social media space is that men understand that there's always a low level of violence, potential for violence when men get together. So we got to check ourselves and how we talk to each other, especially if we don't know the man we're talking to, right? I think that's true. I think most men will agree that when we're around a circle of other men, we have to have a certain amount of decorum and when we talk to each other. There's and everybody's level's a little bit different, but we kind of understand where the guys are coming from. If you've been around a lot of men, black men, you understand that, okay? When men and women get together in these kind of circles, okay, the dynamic is different. The energy in the circle is sexual, right? Think about that. When men and women get together, the energy in the room between the men and the women is a sexual energy. And you have to have a certain amount of discipline when you're around certain women not to expose whatever your sexual desire to her is or might be if she's somebody you don't know. And if she's somebody you don't have the in to actually go further with. So you got to be cool, because men by nature will take a woman and look at her. If she's fine, she's butt naked on the bed as soon as you see her. Now, you could control that like absolutely most men do, because most of us are not rapists. Most of us are not assaulters. But you can't say that we don't have a modicum of what it would be like to bang one of these honeys out. That's just the way it is. And one of the things that women want to do is by telling you that that's wrong for you to even think that. Well, you know what, lady? Shut the F up. You know why? Because we didn't make that happen. If you believe in God, He made that happen. Right? And then we had to learn to get the discernment and the control not to act on impulse. That's what, and we don't get enough credit for that, by the way. The absolutely most men do not cross that line with women, or else we would all be in jail. You know what I'm saying? So when we have a lot of women around and shit, we might have a little sexual tension, a little sexual energy, and we have to mind what we say. We have to watch where our eyes go. We can't be just staring at her titties and her ass. You just can't do it. And most of us learn that through observation, through trial and error, or just maturity. So you have to know how to read the signs and where you are. There's a time and place for all of that kind of stuff. And so this gets to the whole thing. Can you have, as a man, a heterosexual man with sexual energy, can you really have a platonic relationship with a fucking woman, much less a beautiful, attractive woman? Now, let me just say the short answer is yes, as long as y'all don't see each other in intimate settings. Right? I mean, listen, I'm a kind of combine this with some of the other things I've talked about on this channel. I even talked about this in a previous live on the Black Man Unfiltered channel around maybe a few months ago. So here's the dynamic, and I'm gonna just try to get this in the perspective of so we kind of understand each other. Now, women, right, when they're around men, this is why they think they can have male best friends. Women, when they're around men, one of the things women do is they like to use men. And when I say use men, they like to sap our energy, whatever that energy might be. Women play on that. Every single woman plays on the energy of a man in her orbit, whatever that might be. It could be his utility of spoken language. Can he cook? Is he a handyman? Can he bang one out when because I'm not saying she's having sex with all these men. She'll pick the maintenance man. She'll find him. Right? So most women, I include my wife in this, don't have any use for a man unless she can find something useful in him. And if she can't, he's not in the orbit. He is not in the orbit. Right? And so that's what women, and that's not negative. That's nature. Women naturally view men as utility. And I did that in a live before, and just out of the woman's mouths, they said exactly what I'm telling you. And I got some clips for that. I'm not going to repeat them. I got some new shit for you. So women look at us as utility. Now, men don't. Here's the kicker. Most men really don't mind being useful to women or anybody else. Most men don't mind being useful. Any man on his square, one of the things we do is we call it purpose. We call it whatever we call it. But a man strives to be useful just in general as a human being because we need to be to survive and to thrive. Right? So the dynamics between a man and a woman, she wants to use a man's energy, and we weigh whether it's worth our time to be around a woman who we know wants us for something. And whether she reciprocates something back to us or not is the question. Most men, if she's beautiful, would like the reciprocation, a nice steamy ass night in the bed, right? Where we can explore all the deep depths of her love. You know what I'm saying? But that's not like that for every man or for every woman. So she might want your energy, but all she's going to give back to you is a smile. And some women take that shit for granted, right? Because now in the modern era, that nature has been corrupted by feminism and just attention seeking from the social media and all that shit. But it's a natural exchange between men and women, that our need to be useful and your need to have your men around you as a utility, that goes hand in hand. Any man who's married and or has a girlfriend that's serious, if you really think about it, you'll see what I mean. You should know what I mean. Now, women might deny the use of the word use and utility, but I'll challenge any woman in the goddamn chat right now to name the 5 men that she has around her, and she could tell you exactly what use each one of those men are, or else they wouldn't be there. So that's one of those things. So that okay, here's Anissa. You know what? Here's where I would challenge you. I think the dynamics between men and women is absolutely ordained by God, right? If you really read behind the words, the women, the men see women for one thing, and the women see men for something. And the covenant they have is that synergy that we're talking about. So I don't think there's anything negative about what I just said. So The fact that a man might want to have sex with a woman doesn't make him a bad man. It just makes him, the fact that he doesn't act on it makes him a good man. Right? So for you guys and you women to say, in order for us to be around you, we can't even have a thought of banging your ass out. It's just stupid. It's you want us to act outside of our nature so you could feel good. No man's gonna be around you with his tongue out with drool and shit coming around his mouth. You should get out of there real quick. But you can't govern what a guy thinks for a second. And if you think you can, you're being foolish and you're being childish. And every woman knows that, men just don't want to hang out around women just to be hanging out around women and having them sap all his strength. Right? You guys, when y'all look at men, you'll look at his utility. You've been, just like me, you could go through TikTok and Instagram and the thousands, maybe millions of women who put out their posts. And the very first thing they do is put a list of shit of what they want from a man. And without even saying one freaking word about what they're going to give him for all of that. It's all over the place. There's a dynamic to that. I ain't making that shit up. Why is that the way? And I wouldn't spend time telling women, you know what, you shouldn't have some expectation for the man around you because it's natural. Survival and the 4 P's. Shout out to Crimson Cure, right? Protection, providing, problem solving, procreation. All of those things. All right, I hear you in this. I could dig it. I'm sorry. Anyway, so the point is, listen. So, like I told you guys before, I'm gonna talk to you a little bit about my aunt. My mother died when I was young, and my aunt, my paternal aunt, was my mother's best friend, my father's sister, and so she became my guardian. And I was 8 years old. And one thing that this live brought back to me, right, when I talk about this thing, is that, I used to talk to her, but she didn't really suffer any foolishness, right? She never married. She took care of me and my brother, some other folks in the household. And I remember a few conversations at different times where she would say, if I'm talking to her and she got tired of talking to me, she said, get out of my face and go make yourself useful. She used to quote, I remember that. Here's a woman saying to me something that most men have to do, or else we don't have any utility. She said, go make yourself useful. Right? And so I said, man, that makes sense. I didn't think about it back then the way I'm thinking about it now. But the truth of the matter is, most men need to make themselves useful. Women have to make themselves useful, but nobody ever says that shit to y'all. Right? Y'all get away with all kinds of dumb shit. But men, we got to make ourselves useful, no matter what. And I think that's part of our nature. So when we ask men who are being useful, that's why women have random male orbiters, right? I call them the guys in the friend zone. All of those guys in the friend zone, she extracts something out of each one of those fucking guys. Excuse my language. It's just true. And any woman telling the truth knows exactly what I mean. So, let's go back to whether a man can really be a friend with an attractive woman. And then we could delve into, why not? Why not? And then if anybody wants to come up, you can. Well, but let's go ahead and play. I'm going to play this one clip first. The one that we're all waiting for. Okay. Let me go ahead and share it. And then we'll get rolling on that one. All right. Okay. Here's the one. And we ain't going to play a lot of it, but we're going to play the parts that count. All right.
Do you have any platonic relationships in your life right now?
With the woman?
Yeah.
No.
Is that by choice?
I'm not about to be around no woman
platonically.
Listen, we gotta unpack this, Cam. Why?
Because I'm not about to play them type of games.
Is it self-control?
Call it what you want.
I'm asking.
Call it. It may be self-control.
I'm asking.
If she fine, I'm not about to have her around playing like I don't think that she's attractive.
Is it possible to think someone's attractive and still behave yourself?
Yes.
Do you have control of them thoughts?
Yes. But I'm not about to play them games.
What game is it?
The game of saying, hey, we not about to be friends. I don't have good-looking women that's friends around me.
So
no.
Just all the. Do you have any ugly ones? I gotta ask.
I don't even have women friends, bro. Respectfully.
Why?
We're gonna play some more of it, but just think about this. What in my whole life, I have one woman that I would consider friends. We were both freshmen in college at the same time, and she was a very, very good-looking woman. And we stayed in touch. I never tried to approach her. I never did. We just developed a friendship over the years, you know, because we were in the same circles, right? We had the same circle of friends in the frat. She was a sweetheart and all this kind of stuff. And we still stay in touch today, almost 50 years later, right? I know her family. I've talked to her. I've gotten her out of some hard situations. But one of the things we didn't do was fraternize one-on-one. We didn't go out to a lot of, you know, I didn't take her out on a date. We weren't in all these sexual situations where it's just me and her. But, you know, I met her family because she was from the Bronx. I went over there, met her mother and her brothers and her sisters. She had a couple of parties over the house. And, you know, but it's just one. And it's not that I didn't have other women I was had acquaintances. But one of the things is that you have to make sure you're not into a situation where it can lead to something, right? That's what Cam is really saying. And what I'm saying is that most men, especially the simps who allow themselves to be random male orbiters, right? The guys in the friend zone, they're playing the long game, right? They're playing the long game. And the women understand that. But, you know, they try to deny it. If you're a woman out there and you could tell me that you don't know when a man wants to bang your ass out, you're a goddamn liar. You're a liar. Even if he doesn't approach you, right? If you can't tell in a man's eyes that if you give him an opportunity, he's going to have you folded in 800 fucking ways, you're a liar. You're absolutely a liar. So, but you know what? As long as he stays put and he stays at a certain distance, you're going to use all the utility he has for you. You're going to use it without guilt, I might add. Without guilt. And he's just going to be the duck sitting there just giving you energy. All the energy you need. I need you to do this. I need to borrow some money. I need you to fix my car. I need you to talk to me. I need you to do all this shit. And the one thing you keep from him, and sometimes you kind of lay a little hint, so, you know, maybe, you know, he has that in the back of his mind, you know, maybe she might get weak one day and I might be there just to capitalize. That's the dance we do. So when you ask a man, can you have beautiful women in your friend? Well, you know, you could know if we're partners and I know you and all that kind of stuff, we could have those interactions. But don't ask me to take you out on no goddamn dates. And then, you know, when you need somebody to call, you want me to come over, right? I mean, that shit, we're just begging for something. Now, there might be a time when if a guy is going somewhere and you're pretty and he says, look, I need a date for I need a date for something. And you're at that level. And, you know, for the date, he says, listen, I want to take you out to this date because I need to show that I have a lady, but we're not boyfriend and girlfriend. You might put on a gown. He might take you out, but you're going to make it clear that he's going to take you home in the end. And he's going to say, yeah, I just need your utility. This is when a man might be able to use you for a change to give him some, if it's not some pies. You know, so these things happen. All right. But for the most part, he don't want to stay in front of you and all this shit. Man, come on. You know, so all I'm just trying to say is that So, and because I have a couple of clips where a lady talks about that it's a man's fault that he doesn't have so many female friends and he's losing out on something. And the truth of the matter is he's not losing out on a goddamn thing. You know, he's saving them. He's not. You know, the woman is losing out on something, not him, because he knows how to be your friend from a distance. And don't just call me when you need something because I might not answer. You know, so that's the dynamic we're talking about. I mean, you know what I'm saying? You know, so anyway, anybody wants to talk about that, because before my next clip, I'm just gonna put this in there. Am I making any sense to you guys? You know, so we're gonna play some more Cam Newton and then I'm talk a little bit more.
I understand you saying you're not finna play this game, but Cam, you're a smart man. I'm gonna need you to go deeper than that.
Yeah, we're gonna
I
know me.
You know you, okay?
I know me.
And what that mean?
That means if I'm around a woman long enough, I'm going to find something good in her that attracts me.
Okay, and when you're attractive, what then happens? When you're attracted, what then happens?
Sex.
Cam, it's a bigger issue than I thought we had.
So understanding that I know what's to come from a platonic situation, I don't even play. No, I don't do that. Baby, you too fine for me. We're not doing that.
Interesting.
No.
So, okay. If I take the word friendship off of the table, do you have platonic relationships in your life that involve women?
I just told you, I don't have no attractive woman that I'm cool with that I do not have plans on stabbing.
Damn, Cam.
Listen, we're gonna play a little bit more because we got to go more than 3 minutes. Listen, here's what I did. I have so many women in my family, relatives who are women of the world. They've been out there. If I really need something from a woman to talk to like that, I have family members, and there's no chance of any sexual activity going on because I'm not wired like that. Matter of fact, I'd be repulsed by the thought. I got a sister in my life, and she's a full-fledged woman, retired herself. You know what I'm saying? So it's not that you have to have all of these baddies around you to be a completed man. I don't have to look any further than the 30 fucking women in my family. Cousins, sister, aunts, you know. So in there, I'm safe. I don't need to find some honey that's so good looking that I got to have her as a friend. Now, if we're doing business together, then we know where the natural line is drawn. You know what I'm saying? I mean, that's where it's at. And here's another thing. So when I pay this next woman after Cam, the notion that a man has to turn off his nature in order to have female friends is absolutely ridiculous. It's more than she has. She has the not ability. She doesn't have enough juice to ask that of a man. And this lady I'm gonna show you, she's pretty good. Anyway, she has some good stuff though. But on this one, I think she's wrong.
This is my camera. Listen, my fellow listeners. Self-control is very important.
No. We're not gonna do that.
What?
Self-control is identifying, I know me.
Now, it's very healthy for you to be saying this.
We're not gonna do that.
I'm not saying it's not healthy.
Yeah.
But there's something deeper to this conversation, Cam.
Listen.
The why is missing.
This my camera right here. It's simple. Baby, I'm not your friend. Baby, I'm not your buddy. Baby, I'm not the friend zone. I'm the guy that's trying to score and go for two. I'm in the end zone.
God, you're so used to touchdowns, Cam. Now you can't.
I'm used to tush push.
Now you can't kick no field goals. God,
we don't.
Now let me ask you guys out there, right? Is Cam out of control or is he in complete control? Right? That's what I'm saying. What a woman might call out of control is a man saying he's going to avoid those situations that tempt him. You know what I'm saying? That's control. Why put yourself in a position with honeys when you know that with your own proclivities, when you're self-aware that if she's sitting across from you and you're talking and, all the blood is in your Johnson. You know what I'm saying? I mean, fucking women are crazy because they look at us like women as opposed to be men. And I tell men, you gotta, we shouldn't superimpose what we think on women. Again, those women who want to be, women have invaded all men's spaces, right? If you think about it, men don't have anywhere to go because women fight to invade male spaces everywhere. We can't have men's clubs that are private. If they take any public funds at all, at any level, there's going to be a woman out there suing them so she can get in. That's what happened to Augusta. You know what I'm saying? You can't have, if you have a gentleman's club and you don't want women in, it has to be 100% private. 100% private, up to the property taxes and everything. No bennies whatsoever from the government. Because women want to know what men are doing. And when women are involved, the dynamics between men changes. So in those clubs, just like in the workforce, when it's just men, you could just put your head down and we could talk to each other any way we want. You put a woman in there, it changes the dynamic. It's not necessarily negative, it's nature. When I was working, you guys can think about when you're working. We had a whole group of friends, both men and women. And the male group of us, when we went out to lunch, we always had, not always, we had women that went with us and the conversation went one way. And every so often, I would get with my buddy and say, let's go out to lunch, but let's leave the women home. Let's not invite any of the fucking honeys, okay? So we could have a conversation like men. We could talk the way we want to talk as men. When you get a hard leg, blah, blah, you know what? It's not hard leg. Every so often, we got shit to say we don't want to say in front of women. Women don't have no issue having women only shit. But I'm just saying. So every so often, now here's another analogy, right? Yeah, anybody who plays street ball, any man out there who plays street ball, you're playing full court. The game is hard, it's competitive. You want to stay on the court, so you have to win the game. And it's just a game of competition, right? It's nobody really watching, and you're just playing. You want to stay on the court all day. You win, you stay. Then all of a sudden, 5, 6, 3 honeys, even one honey walks on the side and she's watching the game. Can anybody raise their hand and let me know if the nature of the game changes as soon as the women get around the court? The nature of the game changes completely, right? Just because the women came around the court and they're looking at the game. And that's not a bad thing. It's just a natural thing between men and women. When men and women get together, there's a underlying, right, sexuality in the air. That's not by accident, right? And how many news reports do we have to hear when they have women prison guards in a prison full of men who haven't seen a warm, pillowy piece of ass in a long time, right? They're seducing the guards. Now, and even if they're big, burly, buxom ass women, they're bringing in phones and food and drugs and all that kind of stuff because men seduce them, right? And it happens all the time. And these women are willing to go to jail because men and women can't be in those situations together. And on the flip side, men in female prisons, the dynamic is different, but the sexual energy is there, man, right? The sexual energy is there, except that the men extract and extort sex from those women. You want an extra pair of socks in the canteen? You want a little bit of money in your canteen? Or you know what, if it's even more nefarious than that, you don't want me to give you bad credits where you lose some privileges. Hey, you know what? The chapel's empty at a certain time. You meet me there. That's why you shouldn't have men in female prisons, and that's why you shouldn't have women in male prisons. Because you cannot put a regulation that keeps men and women from fucking each other. Even up to death. Even up to death. Because it's just that simple. And everybody tries to act like some other bullshit. Like you could put governors on real life and nature. You can't. You got to try real hard to break that, like feminism. People losing virtue and not caring about shame and all that kind of stuff. All of these things play a part in this. So men who can say, I don't want to be friends with a woman at that level because if she's not going to reciprocate the energy I'm willing to give her, I'd rather not be that close. I'd rather not be that close. Don't mean I want to talk to you, but don't be calling me up and say, let's go, to lunch and dinner and all that other kind of shit. Let's be in the same spaces where it's just me and you, and I got to look at your lovely, silky breasts and body. I don't care how much clothes you got on, because in my eyes, I see you naked all the time. Why am I put myself through that? Why? I'd rather find a woman who wants to have sex with me, or be, I'd rather find that. And there's nothing wrong with that. You have the proclivity, as long as you don't act on it in a illegal way with a woman, And most men, okay, ladies, listen up. Most men don't assault women. Let me just say that shit again. Most men don't assault women. We don't. We absolutely do not. So when we talk about control, Cam Newton is telling you he's in control because he doesn't put himself in that situation. And a lot of men who know better would rather not be some woman's goddamn random male orbiter. Why?
Kick field goals, we go for it every time.
Oh, God.
Baby,
damn.
if you're going to sit up here and tell me, hey, friend, no, friend, even my girlfriend know that I don't have no girlfriends,
So question for you.
snapping,
Hey,
boy.
that was not a snap. Hold on. Pause.
snapping,
Pause.
boy.
No, do not snap at that.
snap, boy, for real.
Question for you. In your current relationship,
Yeah.
can you be friends with your girl's friends? Do you have a
No.
relationship then?
No.
I'm not going to go through why, because we're going to go through circles. Hey, why is he asking another question? Your girl's friends are the same. And that's even worse. Because if your girl's fine, there's chances are she's going to have fine girls. You're going to, just because she's your girl's friend, you don't want to be around her either. Around them either. On your own? Why? Your girl probably wouldn't even have that. So that's the Cam Newton thing. You can go to his link and see this whole interview. But I just wanted to throw this here. It's funny because BMU put it on the thumbnail. But I was gonna throw this up there. So I'm glad he gave me the good lead in, because that's exactly right. Because this one is going around the internet as if this is the first time Cam Newton talked about this. So I guess it sunk through. So anyway, man, look at this guy, man. Anyhow, so listen, I just tell you, I got some more for you. I have a couple of things for you, but I want to kind of lay the groundwork for it before we go into that next. No. What I want to do is we're going to talk a little bit about the sister who talked a little bit about why men are missing out by not accepting women, as their friends. and all that kind of stuff. And it's not like she doesn't have a point, but I think she's missing some of the stuff I already talked about. But let's hear her out. It's not that long, and she's a lady who usually has good takes on things, and so this is not really a bad take. I just have some issues, you know. I just have some issues with her take on how she thinks men should behave. That it's not in our nature to behave that way. All right, so some of you guys might recognize this woman. So let's listen to what she has to say. I make sure I want to have it shared properly. So let's listen to what she has to say.
Sleep with every attractive girl that you meet, and that's the problem. A lot of y'all miss out on great opportunities with women that you could be building friendships with because you want to sleep with everybody who you find attractive. And sometimes it ain't that. Sometimes you and that woman are not aligned whatsoever.
Okay, first thing I have to stop is that a man doesn't have to be aligned with a woman to want to have sex with her. Okay, so this is the first thing I wanted to let you guys know, that, even though she's going to talk a lot of sense a little bit, but again, a man absolutely doesn't have to have no alignment whatsoever to bang out a woman. We don't. We absolutely do not.
About you and her makes sense. Y'all could be friends, but y'all don't ever need to go down the path of trying to be in a relationship or do anything past that because you don't make sense. You're not in alignment. You're not compatible.
What's going on?
But because so many of y'all men, whenever you find a woman attractive, you're going to try to force something and make it try to work. But it can't work because y'all don't work. And so because of that, you ain't got no homegirls. You don't have no women that's your friends. And so when it comes down to you just wanting to do simple activities like go out to eat and be able to just randomly call up one of your homegirls, you ain't got no homegirls because you can try to smash all of them. Right?
All right, so, okay. One, there's enough men who are in the friend zone to enough women who want to smash them, but stay in that friend zone and let the women extract whatever she needs to extract from them to, make a cow sick. Okay. So what men are you talking about? There's a lot of men who will do anything for women that they ain't getting no box from. Right? Those are the guys we call simps. And what do you call them? I call them random male orbiters, but these are the guys in the friend zone. There's millions of men who stay in the friend zone. They're taking chicks out. They're changing the oil in her car. They're fucking mowing their lawns. They're changing their smoke detectors. They're doing everything just to stay around the chick. And they want to bang them out. And the women know it. So the only problem I'm saying, you know what? Every so often, maybe those girls that keep them in the friend zone might have something to offer those guys besides the box. So those are the friendships you're talking about. But to think that a man is just going to surround himself with beautiful women and keep his blood in his brain is just ridiculous. And it's against his nature. The issue is he going to act on it? And is he going to act on it, especially against a woman's will? And the answer to that is overwhelmingly no. So he'll sit there and he'll listen to the shit she's talking about, her boyfriend, the guy who isn't paying anything and who's banging her out the night before, and he's over there so she could cry on his shoulder and leave her goddamn tears on his fucking good suit. And he ain't getting nothing, but he gave her all the energy of sympathy and empathy and what to do next. Come on, and it's his fault. It's not a woman's fault. She's just acting in her nature. I got a couple of ducks and I'm going to quack their asses as long as I can. So that's the deal. Stop trying to change men outside of our nature. And you fucking guys out there, y'all let women dictate how you're supposed to behave in your nature. The only thing you have to do is be of good character and understand that there's nothing wrong with you being attracted to an attractive woman. And if she's not going to give you any box, you got to distance yourself from the goddamn what you call it, temptation, if you can't handle it. And that's exactly what Cam Newton said. And he's getting vilified everywhere, right? He's getting vilified everywhere for being a man in control. You know what I'm saying? So anyway, we got to stop letting women tell us what our nature should be. Man, shut up, ladies. Shut up and be a woman. If I want to be around you because you got something to offer me in return for the energy you're extracting, I'll do that. But until then, you know, I decide who I want to be friends with.
You don't have anybody that you can just call up for that. And unfortunately for a lot of women, you don't get the luxury of having authentic homeboys when you're somewhat attractive because they all want to sleep with you, right?
Well, there's another one. I'm gonna stop you right there. The fact that a woman knows that there's a lot of homeboys that want to have sex with her, that doesn't stop women from extracting what they want from men. It absolutely does not. Most attractive women have a whole rotation of guys that she lets remain in her orbit because there's something useful in that guy that she sees that she could extract without giving equal payment back. Because she knows he'll do anything for her just for a chance to sniff her panties. And there's a lot of women who do that. So I don't know if women are really tripping over that. Now, you might, sister, you might be upset because you're fairly attractive and you wish you might get around men who don't want to bang you out. But maybe you're being a little too hasty with that. Just because a man might feign some interest in you, you don't have any trust that he's in control. If he's looking at you with lust in his eyes, I can dig it. The man who's playing the long game, he knows how to control that. He knows how to control that. So I'm thinking you're talking from yourself because you probably have a lot of guys you would rather be around or talk to without giving up any goodies, extract whatever you can from him, and hope that he doesn't want to have sex with you. And I think that's too much for you to ask. It's the perils of being pretty, and it's like what they call first world problems, right? That's first world problems.
So if you just want to hang out, go to the mall, go grab something to eat, you see a movie you want to go see, you want to go just do an activity, you ain't really got no homeboys that you can call up either. Because
I'm just waiting to be in a dark movie theater with you sitting next to me, smelling all womanly and good, while I'm sitting down here eating the popcorn and holding my Johnson while the blood is running to it and shit. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, I can't wait to be in the dark with you, baby. I really can.
Because all of them want to smash, right? Or all of them got some kind of weird ulterior motive, and they really just like playing around. And
a man's sexual attraction to you is not weird, and it's not an ulterior motive. It's right there on the surface, baby. It's right there hanging out like a beacon, like a light bulb. It's the train at the end of the tunnel. It's not ulterior and it's not weird. It's a man's nature. And for as good as shit that you put out, I'm surprised you don't know none of this shit. You ain't going to change a man's nature, but this is a good little video for us to talk about.
Wasting time until the opportunity possibly presents itself for them to slide in and try to make a move on you. If y'all could stop being such freaky frogs and freaked out, then you possibly could build friendships with the opposite gender. But because sex is so heavily on y'all mind and y'all ain't got no self-control or sexual discipline, this is the reason why it's usually always got to go.
A man being sexually attractive to a woman is not being undisciplined. It's not. It's absolutely not. You're wrong. You're absolutely wrong. It's the wrong. You're indicting men for their nature is if he acts on it improperly, then you have a lot to say. But the man in the back of his mind, if he's got you naked on the bed, you know, it's just the way it is. And he's the one going home after you extract all of your whatever you need from him. You want to go to the movies? Okay, I'll go with you. You want to go out to eat? Okay, I'll go with you. You want to do all this? I'll go with you. But you can't govern what I'm thinking about doing to you. You just can't. It's a waste of time, and it's an indictment that you're being unfair about.
Go straight to the bedroom instead of simply just going out to eat or enjoying each other's company. You won't stop trying to sleep with every attractive girl that you meet. And that's the problem. A lot of y'all miss out on great opportunities with women that you could be building friendships with because you want to sleep with everybody who you find attractive. And sometimes it ain't that. Sometimes you and that woman are not aligned whatsoever.
Okay, there you go with that alone. We're going back.
Nothing about you and her makes sense.
All right, so the point really is she's going back around, and it's good to hear it again, but I stopped it a lot because you got the point. Now, this lady has some good stuff on her channel, but I thought this was good enough to kind of dissect in light of what Cam Newton said and what she said, because this is from her perspective. And I think she's missing out on the fact that there's some good guys that she could be friends with, and she's holding it against them just because they might want to sleep with her. Right? I mean, I know there's been plenty of women in my orbit that I wanted to sleep with, but I didn't stop trying to be acquaintances as friends. I just didn't put myself in a position where they could use me and I could be around here thinking thoughts about having sex with them, and they don't have no compulsion to actually comply with that. So a lot of those women I've never approached. My friend that I've been friends with for 50 years, I've never approached her. I've never put the moves on her, ever. But was I sexually attracted to her? You goddamn right. She was fine as hell. Did that sexual attraction wane with years as we got older and had our own lives? Absolutely. Absolutely. She knows my wife knows her, I know about her kids, I know about her life, and she knows about mine, blah, 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 blah. But when we were teenagers, 18, first going to college, and all the 4 years we were there and a little bit longer, we were friends and we never crossed paths in terms of sexually at all. You know, so, and we were in the same circles, but we became really good friends. But I only have one of those. And it's not like the other ladies that I still remember that I had slept with them all. But that dynamic wasn't the same as this one woman. So anyway, I have one. So is it possible? Absolutely. Yes. So I guess I went the long way around to say, is it possible? But it's not how we're wired. And I just said, as fine as she was and as handoff as I was with this woman, it would have been a nice roll in the hay, but it was not meant to be, and I could deal with that. As far as I'm concerned, that's control. That is control. So again, what do you think about this sister? And I, it's not like I'm trashing her because she's correct in a lot of ways and she's wrong in some others, especially when it comes to her trying to correct the nature of a man and then putting it in a negative light just because he wants to have sex with a beautiful woman. It's just our nature. It's kind of funny because I'm one of those kind of guys that says a lot of, I think that one of the things that's missing in the young people, both men and female and men and women alike, is that the nature of man and woman has really not changed in the basic format of it hasn't really changed. Social media has unleashed, especially women, and it's corrupted a lot of things. But underneath those layers, a woman is a woman, man's a man. Like my wife, I've been married for 38 years. But when she said I do, she didn't turn over and put her paws up so I could rub her stomach. She's always been a woman. She didn't change that, right? She just accepted whatever order I had to her chaos, right? Whatever leadership skills I was developing, she was willing to follow, but after 38 years, my wife firmly still has her hand on the woman card. That shit never went away. I had to grow. I had to learn to navigate those waters. Right? And it's funny because the thing that set her apart from other women was, one, I was looking for a wife. And two, she was coming towards me. She wanted me. Right? She absolutely wanted me. She gave me the full feeling that she chose me as her number one choice. And that's why I got on my knee. Because I told men, you got to make sure the woman's your number one choice. Because if you don't, she views you as a number one choice. Because if you don't, you're making a mistake. Anyway, so that's a whole nother thing. But I got a clip for all of you guys. But let me set the scenario here. Okay. So let's just say if you're one of these guys, listen to my girl that's up here right now. And let me move her down. You're one of the guys listening to this sister. And you have a woman that is a friend of yours, so-called friend of yours, and you want to go, and she wants you to come over so you're going to have this conversation because you have a little issue with women in general and your woman in particular that you think she could help you with. Now, you're firmly in her friend zone, okay? And you think you're safe, okay? You're firmly in her friend zone, and you come over to her house to have a conversation with her. Okay. And you get over there and you sit down across from her. Okay. And you want to get into this conversation with this lady because she's going to drop some knowledge on you. Okay. And you say, okay, yes. And you do that. And then you get over there and she looks like this. Okay. She looks like that. All right. And she begins to talk to you just like that, sitting just like this. And and you're in her friend zone and you got to think good thoughts, right? All right. So let's hear what she has to say.
To the fellas real quick. You ever notice how when a woman's caught red-handed, that's the exact moment she wants you to calm down and watch your tone. Let me tell you the game, King. She don't care that you're hurt. She don't care that you call her lying. She don't.
Right, she's talking to you, my man. You sitting down there looking at her, legs akimbo. Is your blood still firmly in your brain? Are you really listening to what she has to say? Or nah?
She don't care that you peep the manipulation. She just care that you ain't sitting there like a little yes man no more. See, she'll yell, scream, curse, and throw jabs at you for hours. But the second you say one thing with conviction, the second you raise your voice just a little bit, the second you call out her hypocrisy, now she doesn't feel safe.
So you're looking at her, you're the random male orbiter for this woman right now, and you don't have any sexual thoughts in your head. Nice, silky, dark chocolate skin with her legs spread, toes done, big earrings, wig up there, and mouth open, eyes with the little slant to them. And, all you could think about is, this is my friend, and she's dropping some knowledge on me, and I'm level-headed. I'm not thinking anything. I'm thinking pure thoughts now. Okay.
Hey, now she don't like your energy. Now she want to flip the script and make you the problem. Nah, baby. Don't try to police his tone when he finally speaking on the shit you been getting away with. You was fine being loud when you was accusing him of cheating with no proof. You was fine running your mouth when you was down talking his goals, his friends, his family. But the second he says, why you talking to your ex? Why you never apologize? Why you got time for TikTok but not for your kids? Now suddenly you emotional and not being a man. Let me tell the fellas what's really going on.
All right. So how much of this, if you're sitting across from her, that you're really sinking in? Is this sinking in, fellas? You know, you're not looking at her as a piece of meat or somebody you would like to give sweet pleasure and carnal knowledge with and to, right? We all like chocolate, right? Smooth, silky skin. She's in good shape. She ain't thinking nothing of it with those shorts with her legs open right in front of you, talking to you. You went over, she invited you over the house and she couldn't put on something a little bit more appropriate for the random-male orbiter who ain't gonna get none. You know, we're not allowed to think any sexual thoughts sitting across from this honey dropping some knowledge on us. Huh? No. Is this our female friend that we're supposed to not have sex, want to have sex with? Yes, no, maybe. Somebody help me out.
She wants your masculinity as long as it's quiet, docile, and non-threatening. She wants the benefits of a man without the presence of one. Because your presence comes with boundaries, with expectations, with accountability. And when she dead wrong, that presence feel like pressure. So she try to mute you, control the narrative, act like you the bad guy just for reacting. And don't let her hit you with the gaslight special. It's not what I said, it's how you responded.
Actually, you can go back and see her because she is saying some stuff. I just wanted to put you as a male, random male orbiter. If you go over to this woman's house, no matter what she says, you know, you might not approach her, you might not do anything illegal, but why would you put yourself through this kind of pain, right? Just to prove a point, right? So the other sister says, you're missing out on this knowledge because you can't take yourself out of the friend zone. But she's looking at you with these eyes, okay? So women, just stop it, okay? Just stop the nonsense. You know, if I'm in a house with a chick like this, I could possibly ruin my marriage, right? Who's gonna know? Except that she might, you know, I might be so good she might call my wife. But I wouldn't do that because you know why? Because I wouldn't go over to her house. It's like Cam Newton says, I wouldn't go there. You know, so I just wanted to say that, you know, that's the way that is. So can men and women be friends? Yeah, at a distance. At a distance. Yeah. You know, oh, you know, he said she's ratchet. So ratchet women don't need love. They don't need to have male friends. Oh, man. You know what? This is a good conversation. And I think it's been asked and answered. I don't know how many men have to say, no, we don't want to be your friend. We don't want to be your friend. We don't want to sit down here and hear your stories about somebody else who's banging you out and all of that shit. Now, we could be your business partner. We could be your acquaintance. But no, we don't want to sit around and have campfire stories with the honeys or with the individual honeys, you know, honey, on a regular basis. You know, that's, you know, I don't want to go over your house for a candlelight dinner and it's just me and you. I don't want to invite you over to my house with that. I mean, I could, if I was a single guy, but I might have something more in mind for the most part. If it doesn't happen, great. But I'm waiting for the day to catch you when you're vulnerable. And that's why men understand what other men think. So when a woman gaslights her boyfriend to say this guy, you know, he's only a friend, we don't believe that shit because we know how he thinks. Right? And even if you say, maybe we don't even trust you. But the point really is, we know that if you're in proximity to somebody who wants to bang you out, anything could happen. So anyhow, so I just wanted to kind of put that in there. I have one more video before we go, because this one's not going to be long, because we've had this conversation before. So, but there's one woman who could drive this and put this shit to bed. And for some of us, for some other people, you might still want to be hard-headed. But I think I want to give this woman that I'm going to put up here the last word. I really do. And I want to give her the last word, and you could believe her or not, but she's going to get the last word. Okay? Last word. Yeah, from the white girl. Last word.
Why do us women keep male friends? Let me explain why. Because it is safer, it feels easier, and because a lot of the time it comes with benefits that we don't get from our female friendships. Most women believe that we can have male friends, right? But if we're being honest, a lot of male friends come with a hidden deal. He gives attention, you get validation, and validation is addictive. It's a personal confidence boost whenever you need it. He responds fast. He compliments you. He makes you feel wanted, and our brains love that shit. That's what's called variable reward. You don't get attention constantly. You get it randomly. And that random reward is what creates that stronger attachment than the consistent one does. That's why people get hooked. Now, let's flip it. Compare that to female friendships. When men don't like each other, they physically fight each other or they just separate. It's clean. Women, on the other hand, they can dislike each other and still stay close. Still go to brunch, still smile in each other's faces, still shop together. And that's because women's social circles often run on comparison, status, and unspoken competition, so to speak. All it takes is one wrong birthday, one jealous moment, one boyfriend that they don't approve of, and the friendship goes away. So a male friend can feel like a relief, less competition, less judgment, and less jealousy, a little more peace. Also, a male friend can feel like protection, somebody to call, someone who actually shows up and makes you feel physically safe.
There you go. She's talking about how the women extract the energy from the men in their orbits. That's what she's talking about. It's a real thing.
And yes, sometimes women would rather have a male friend who secretly loves them than a female friend who secretly hates or resents them, because desire feels like admiration and admiration feels safe. But this is the part that men understand and women ignore. Men know how men think, and a lot of those guys aren't friends.
Now, it's key that she said that men understand and women ignore. She didn't say that women don't understand, because you fucking very well understand. You ignore the reality of it.
They're orbiters. They're waiting. They're hoping, and they're being patient and waiting to shoot their shot. So, but this is the part that men understand and women ignore. Men know how men think, and a lot of those guys aren't friends. They're orbiters. They're waiting. They're hoping, and they're being patient and waiting to shoot their shot. So, if you're in a relationship, here's the rule. If it's truly friendship, it will survive daylight. No secrecy, no late night emotional dumping, no private conversations that you hide from your man, because if you have to hide it, it's not a friendship. That's your leverage. And this is the true test. If your male friend got a real chance with you tonight, would he take it? If the answer is yes, that's not your friend. That is a man with patience. And I bet 100% of your male friends, if given the chance, would sleep with you in a heartbeat. So no, you can't have male friends.
There you go. Right out of a woman's mouth. Right? She understands it because she understands a little bit about male nature. You can argue it all you want to, but the truth of the matter is she's spot on. And there's few women out there who would understand that and agree, even though they'll probably still try to keep their friends. So, I mean, that's it. I mean, I've gone through the gambit. We've heard this conversation before. And the truth of the matter is, you know, Most men, if they have women and they're leading their family, they don't agree with their woman having male friends that they could call to get any kind of solace with, unless it's a family member, right? If my wife has a brother or cousins or somebody or uncles, that are straight, in her family that she wants to talk to, or her father's still alive, whatever that is, those are the males that she could go to talk to, but not some asshole who wants to bang her ass out, right? Because that's what men do. That's our nature. So when women try to convince you, if you got a woman out there and she's trying to convince you that all these guys in her orbit are because she can get along with men better, that's what this white woman just said. Your woman knows that she's extracting something from each one of these men. And to say that she knows that these guys want to sleep with her, she absolutely does know that. And each woman who tells you she doesn't know that is a liar. And that should be your red flag, right? If she could actually look you straight in the face and say she's not aware that the guys in her orbit, the ones she's extracting energy from, don't want to sleep with her, she's lying to you. And you'll be a damn fool to either keep that relationship going, and if you marry her, you're an asshole. You are an asshole. Okay? And there's a lot of men who are assholes, by the way. We marry women we should never marry. And a lot of men sully the sanctity of marriage by marrying the wrong women. Knowing that these women are settling for you because they can't get the man they want, but they're always going to continue to look. And guess who they're looking for? All those men in her rotation, those random male orbiters, looking for one of them to step up and just be better than you. So everything has a sacrifice. A woman's going to have to sacrifice those adrenaline rushes of having so many men want her, just like you have to sacrifice the fact that you can't just bang out the next honey and enjoy yourself with no strings attached. So that's the game you have to play if you want to have a long-term marriage and all that kind of stuff. It's not even a game. It's just a commitment you have to make. Can you do it? I mean, if you take any view of the streets, man, you already know that. Hey, Trey, I'm getting ready to go. But, so you came late. Excuse me. What do you say? Yeah, you're right. Platonic relationships only benefit women. Period. It's just, I'm surprised you said marriage relationships only benefit women. You know what I'm saying? I'm surprised you didn't say that. Maybe that's what you got next. Anyway. Yeah, there you go. And not enough men believe that. Not enough men believe that. I mean, if you stay single enough and you learn enough life's lessons, more men will believe that. I think men undervalue themselves all the time. We really do. Anyway, hey, listen, I wasn't going to stay here long. And I appreciate you coming up. I don't know, Trey, if you had something to say, if you wanted to pop up real quick, I mean, I can do that for a little while longer. Yes, no, maybe. You want to put a bow on it, or you just are you good? If you're good, that's cool. Let me do this. Yeah, I know you didn't answer, but I'll put that link down just in case. And this is for anybody who might. Just put it down one more time before I go. Anybody wants to come up and say their little piece, let me know. Got a couple more minutes, and then I'll get out of here. I was planning on keeping this one short because we've had this conversation before. I don't know if we'll ever put it to bed. And I think one of the things men have to realize, it doesn't matter what women think in this situation. It really doesn't. And I think sometimes we give too much deference to what women think. If we're telling you that we don't want to, that we can't have platonic relationships with beautiful women, just shut the fuck up and listen. We're telling you something. And if you have a man and he has nothing but women around her, you should be concerned about that. You really should be. If your man is telling you that he can't give up his female friends because he needs them for emotional strength and support and information, yeah, okay. Okay. You know, you don't think he has Mary Sue with her legs up in the air banging that shit out? I mean, really. You know, just the same thing. So listen, men don't have, we can find women to commensurate with and talk to and all that kind of stuff within our families. Women who are actually safe, for everybody. So we don't need to have a IG model as a friend or a chick who's desperate for her own husband as a friend. We don't need to. We can have them as acquaintances, business partners, and all that kind of stuff. But why do we need to have shared intimacy with a random woman who is not our wife? And why do you need to have shared intimacy with random men who are not your husband? Now, if you're a boyfriend and girlfriend, I don't give a shit about that. That's all faked anyway. There's no commitment in boyfriend and girlfriend and all that bullshit, partnerships and all that shit that y'all talk about out there. If it ain't a covenant, that shit don't count. That's my opinion. That's not everybody's opinion. But okay, listen, thanks for stopping by in the chat, everybody, and I just wanted to put that out there. So what's the hard answer? Can a man have a platonic relationship with an attractive woman? The answer is no. In general, are there exceptions? Yeah, but at a distance. At a distance. They ain't spending nights together. They're not going to dark movie theaters all the time and sharing secrets and shit, And she's chocolatey and beautiful and all that kind of stuff. If neither one of them in a relationship, yeah, maybe, because they're fucking around. But can it go left real fast? Absolutely. Men and women have sexual energy together, and we can't deny it. So with that, I'm going to say good night to everybody. Until next Monday, when I come up with something else, we'll talk about that then. Maybe I'm trying to stay away from a little politics for a little while. I might get back into it. Depends on what happens. However, with that, from the Black Man Unfiltered Network, R. Payne, your favorite baby boomer, over and out.